Hi guys, welcome back. This is part 3. Actually, I needed to make a correction from my last video at the very end of that in part 2. I remember how I found this was trying to find what the meaning of the number 12 meant in regards to the constellations of the sign that, like the 12 sons of the Zodiacs, that completes the great circle of heavens, which is the 360 degrees or divisions that govern the whole year, that governs our whole year of our calendar. Our Gregorian calendar has like 365 days on that. But I think that the Jewish calendar has less years, so I think they go on the 360 day year, if I'm right. Hold on a second. Okay, I did find something. It was from this Jewish 101, Judaism 101. Anyway, it says the Jewish calendar is based on 3 astronomical phenomena. The rotation of the Earth is about its axis, which is at 1 day. The revolution of the Moon about the Earth takes a month, and the revolution of the Earth about the Sun is 1 year. So it takes an Earth 1 year to go around the Sun. Okay, now these 3 phenomena are independent of each other, so there is no direct correlation between them. On average, the Moon revolves around the Earth in about 29.5 days, and the Earth revolves around the Sun in about 365 1/4 days. That is about 12 lunar months and 11 days. Okay, to coordinate these 3 phenomena and to accommodate certain ritual requirements, the Jewish calendar consists of 12 or 13 months, or 29 or 30 days, and can be 353, 354, 355, 383, 384, or 385 days long. Okay, the keystone of the calendar is the new moon, referred to in Hebrew as the molad. That's spelled M-O-L-A-D. Okay, the new month of the Jewish calendar begins with the molad, which is pronounced Yamolad. Molad in the Hebrew word meaning birth, and refers to what we call the new moon in English. Okay, the molad for the month of Tishri, and that's the month that starts with Rosh Hashanah, is the most important one of the calendar calculations, and referred to as molad Tishri, and so on. So I'll leave a link to this page, and you all can read further about this, because actually I have something more important to discuss in this video, hopefully. But anyway, that's what I was trying to relate here as with the Zodiac and God's timetable in the constellations in the sky. And by the way, Shem was the son of Noah, not Adam. I just caught that, and so yeah. So that was the number of the 12 patriarchs from Noah's son Shem to Jacob, and the 12 sons of Israel, which was Jacob's sons, and the number of 12 was significant in Solomon's temple as well, and the measurement of the New Jerusalem, which was found in Revelation 21, 16 and 17, and the 12 people especially anointed to serve in the government. and they list those. So I'll just leave the links to everything. Actually, my main purpose of this is a Bible lesson. Actually, this came about. I was driving. It was last week, and it was. I was driving on my way home from doing some errands, and I was in my car, and I was talking to the Lord. And then all of a sudden, He said, "Take heed, beware of the leaven of the Pharisees, and of the leaven of Herod." Okay, so here I looked it up here, because I heard that before. I heard that saying before, but I wasn't really thinking of it then. It was just all of a sudden it just, popped up, in my head and kind of came over me like, and I think, well, Lord, you're trying to tell me something, and I just wondered why He told me that. And the reason why is that, well, since this is the time of the Passover, this is an important lesson for the Passover, and plus what the Lord meant for me to know this and to study it, and why we should beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and of the leaven of Herod. Okay, what Jesus was referring to in Mark chapter 8, verse 15, as you remember, Jesus had returned from feeding the 4,000 in the area called Damathnutha. Excuse my pronunciation for that name. Actually, when I refer back to another scripture in the Bible, it was relating to the area around Magdala. Remember that? So it's somewhere around in that area where He fed the 5,000. And so this was an area where the Gentiles dwelt. And but anyway, afterwards, in verse 11, the Pharisees came forth and began to question with Him, seeking Him a sign from heaven, tempting Him. And He sighed deeply in His spirit, and He says, "Why does this generation seeketh after a sign? Verily I say unto you, there shall be no sign be given unto this generation." And He left them, and entering into the ship again, He departed to the other side. Now the disciples had forgotten to take bread, neither had they in the ship with them more than one loaf. And He charged them, saying, "Take heed, beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and of the leaven of Herod." And they reasoned among themselves, saying, "It is because we have no bread." And when Jesus knew it, He said unto them, Why reason ye, because ye have no bread? Perceive ye not yet, neither understand? Have ye your heart yet hardened? Having eyes see ye not, and having ears hear ye not, and do ye not remember? When I brake the 5 loaves among the 5,000, how many baskets full of fragments took ye up? And they said unto Him, 12. And when the 7 among the 4,000, how many baskets full of fragments took ye up? And they said, 7. And then He said unto them, How is it that ye do not understand? And then it goes on to saying where they came to Bethsaida, and that's where He had healed the blind man. And the blind man had sought Jesus to heal him, and he healed the blind man. And then He told His disciples, neither go into town nor tell it to any other town what He had done. And Jesus went out and His disciples into the town of Caesarea Philippi. And or Philippi, excuse me. And by that way he asked his disciples, saying unto them, Whom do men say that I am? And they answered, John the Baptist, but it said Elisha, and the other said, one of the prophets. And he said unto them, But whom do you say ye that I am? And then Peter answered, said, Thou art the Christ. And he charged them that they should tell no man of him. And he began to teach them, and the Son of Man must suffer many things, and be rejected of the elders, and of the chief priests and the scribes, and to be killed, and after 3 days rise again. And Jesus was telling, how he would be put to death. And I'll stop there. Well, let me see. But what I see, what they talked about here is that the leaven, going back to the leaven of the Pharisees and the leaven of Herod, is because the Pharisees taught their own religion. They had their own laws, and they had their own traditions, and they followed the ways of the world and not of God. And actually theirs was the tradition of men and not of God. They did not follow the commandments and laws of God. And I also found a lesson that was actually a Sunday school lesson given by children. Hold on a second and I'll get that. Okay, this is a more simplified form. I found it. It's a preschool lesson of the yeast of the Pharisees. Hey boys and girls, it's good to see you all here today. We have been talking about the bread in our past few lessons. Jesus fed the 5,000 people and then 4,000 people with only a little bread. How many of you like bread? Okay, Jesus and his disciples were together in a boat crossing a lake. The disciples began to look around for the bread that they had bought, but it was nowhere to be found. They looked and looked, and all they could find was one little loaf of bread, and it was not enough for all the disciples and Jesus to eat. Jesus saw them looking around for bread, and he decided he wanted to teach them something very important. He said, Be careful of the yeast of the Pharisees and King Herod. Now the disciples didn't understand why Jesus told them this. They thought he said that this because they had forgotten the bread, and Jesus had talked about yeast because it is an ingredient used to make bread rise. When bread is inside of an oven, it rises, and it takes a little bit of yeast to make the bread get bigger. And Jesus loved the disciples, and he knew that they were going to be very important to help others know about God's love. So he reminded them about how they saw him feed many people with just a little bread and fish. And only God could have done something as awesome as that. Even though they saw Jesus do that, they still had a hard time understanding that Jesus was God's Son. Now, the disciples never really understood that Jesus was God's Son until after he died on the cross and came back to life. Once they saw him alive, they went and told everybody about God's love. Now, Jesus wants us to be careful about what we listen to as well. Whether it's watching the TV, listening to radio, your friends, or even books, they can all change how we think about things. And the most important one is to listen to Jesus. And we can listen to him at Bible study, or even when we read our Bibles. Jesus will help us know how to make the right choices, and he can. So that's the end of that story. So I should tell you a little bit. Well, I'm getting to the end, so I'm going to have to continue it in the next video. So I'll see you over there. Hope you enjoyed the story. Okay, bye-bye. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.